Carrie. It's nice to see you again.
Hi, Natalie.
How have you been?
I've been okay.
Just okay?
Yeah.
What's kind of been going on?
I mean, nothing big. It's just me and Jordan. Just same story, different day. Just
Yeah.
having that back and forth bickering, so it's taking a toll.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but hopefully, as that's what we're here to talk about and to work through these troubles. So, just before we get started, I just want to remind you about the confidentiality agreement that you signed last week. Just to kind of restate that, basically says that anything we talk about stays between me and you. The only other person that would see this is possibly my supervisor, or if they needed it, a judge needed it for some sort of court appearance, or if I felt there was some sort of abuse going on, I would have to turn it in.
Okay.
So do you still understand that and remember those guidelines? Okay,
Yeah.
great. So last week when we talked, we kind of just got to know each other. I learned a little bit about your background and what you're doing right now. We talked about Jordan, your husband, fairly recent, right?
Yeah, we've been married about 8 months.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'm still kind of in that newlywed stage, but having a little bit of conflict. You mentioned that finances are kind of coming up, as well as a drinking issue. You mentioned that Jordan and you were not seeing eye to eye on some of your drinking habits. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you said that the same story, different day is what you mentioned with you and Jordan. So, can you kind of just elaborate on maybe something that's come up new since last time we spoke?
It's just that, I mean, it's really not new, but for like an example, I guess like Tuesday night, he was really upset with me because we don't get paid until Thursday, and we were both getting low on money, and we've paid bills and stuff like that. All of our bills have been paid, and so I wanted to celebrate. I'd had stressful week the week before. I wanted to celebrate, so after work, before he got home, he gets home later. He gets home at like 7 or 8. I just went out with all my best friends, and I left him a note and I let him know where I was. But he was very upset that I went and took the last of my money and went out to the bars with my friends. Whenever his point of view is that it's almost payday, and we are short on money and we don't have a lot of food at the house, and I should have thought about that and all that stuff. But I didn't see what the big deal was. It was just going out with my friends, and Tuesday night I just really was let loose.
Right. Just kind of blow off some steam for a week. That's understandable. But it sounds like finances might be playing a big part of this stress. Do you think it's more you guys are arguing about the actual finances, or is it the going out with the girls that's more frustrating for him?
I don't know. I mean, it seems like he just picks the finances because it's something more concrete to really argue about, but every time I drink, he gets upset.
Okay.
So, and when he gets upset, I just feel like I have to drink more. So, I don't know. I mean,
so do you see this as more of a drinking area, or do you see, I mean, when you go out with the girls, how many drinks do you think you have when you go out?
like 10 or 11.
10 or 11 an evening?
Yeah.
And how often do you girls go out?
Well, me and the girls will go out like once or twice a week, but then I'll drink at home after work. And I'll have like 8 or 9 drinks after work.
And do you ever feel like maybe that's more alcohol than you should be drinking? I mean, different people have different tolerances, and so, is that ever affecting how you're acting, and then maybe just kind of fueling the fire when you get home between you and Jordan?
I mean, it just makes me more, relaxed, and by the time he gets home, I've already had, my drinks, because I know he's going to be upset when I come home, and he just is always mad. I feel like he's always mad.
So, do you feel like you drink to relax. You mentioned that you come home and relax. So, the drinking relaxes you, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
But then it leads to an argument between you and Jordan over the drinking and over finances. Do you feel like, does kind of that relaxing stage kind of go away? What usually comes out of these arguments? How do you feel after you have one?
I used to get really upset, and so would he, and I mean, it started, we would both get upset, and then we'd make up, but now we don't even make up, we just go our separate ways, like, we don't even yell anymore, we just don't, there's so much distance.
Usually after you drink, and then it leads to a fight, is what you're saying, and then you usually,
It leads to like short stabs at each other,
but then you kind of just separate from one another.
then we just don't talk, cause we're just mad at each other, and we're not gonna yell about it, so we just don't talk.
Do you ever go back to those arguments and try to sort them out, or do you just completely leave them alone?
I just leave them alone.
Okay, well, it sounds like everything you're talking about is pretty centered around the drinking. And we spoke last week, and you yourself said that you would like to kind of get a handle on the drinking. So, the whole purpose of our time together, however long we're together today or other sessions, is I'd like to make a plan and a goal for you. And what is your reason for coming to see me? Like, what do you want to see come out of our time together? Does it have to do with you and Jordan? Does it have to do with stress? Does it have to do with drinking? I mean, you really get to set the pace for this.
Well, I feel like it's all those things, cause I feel like they're all intertwined, you know?
Right.
Like they're all bunched together, so I guess all of them. I just wanna be a healthier, happier person, and I want my relationship to be the best that it can be, so.
So where do you think we should start to make that relationship between you and Jordan be the best? What would be the first thing you think we should look at?
I guess it would probably be stress, because I guess how I handle that stress is through drinking, and that's what leads to the fights, which just leads to more stress, which leads to more drinking,
Right.
which leads to more fights.
So it sounds like there's kind of a cycle going on between the stress and the drinking.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that there's stress between you and Jordan, but where do these other stresses come from that first leads you to go have a drink right after work?
I mean, so, you know, sometimes it's from the fight with Jordan, you know, the night before, and but mostly I would say that it's just work and school and being bombarded with all of this responsibility, and you know, we are newlyweds and we are trying to figure out like our place and our, you know, where we fit. It's just kind of all of it.
Yeah, and I mean, I have newlyweds come all the time, and like defining their roles in a relationship is something that I think most couples, especially newlyweds, deal with, because you're used to being on your own. Now you have this other person that you share your entire life with, and you kind of have to re-strategize who does what in the relationship.
Yeah.
So if Jordan were here, if he were sitting right next to you, and I asked him, Jordan, what do you want to get out of this? Like, what do you want Carrie to gain from this? What do you think his response would be?
He would say for me to stop drinking.
Is the drinking.
Yeah.
So from that, I think I want to focus most on like the stress and the drinking, just because I feel like that's kind of the root of all this.
Yeah.
Like, can you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so when did you first like kind of see this? Last week you called it, what you said, you felt like you had a small problem, and you felt like Jordan said that he felt like you had a bigger problem with the drinking. So when do you think that you guys first realized that this was a problem?
I mean, probably about 3 or 4 months ago, when it, you know, it was never a big deal if I would go out with my friends like over the weekend. If I would, you know, have a drink after work, but after it started being more and more drinks and going out with the girls, like, he was upset the other day because I went out on a Tuesday night,
Mhm.
I guess that's not an appropriate time to go out. And so, I would say when the drinking started escalating about 3 months ago or so.
3 months. And since then, has it been a pretty consistent drinking or kind of increase since those 3 months ago when you kind of realized that was like when it kind of all started?
I mean, it's
Increased quite a bit.
yeah.
Alright, so you yourself say that you want to control the drinking and the stress.
Mhm.
So, but we talked last week, did you go out with the girls this week
Yeah.
since we've spoken?
Yeah, we were Tuesday.
And Tuesday, and so, did you, spend a lot of money and have quite a few drinks?
Yeah.
So, I think the biggest thing that we have to focus on is, in order for us to get past this drinking and kind of control it, which then will kind of maybe help with the stress and the finances, and you and Jordan, we really kind of just gotta get a hold on that drinking. And so going out every week, we spoke last week about this drinking problem. I'm just not sure if that's gonna, help you each week. So, is this something that you girls like on a like weekly basis? You have a set night that you go, or is it just kind of someone calls up?
It's just whenever somebody, decides
Mhm.
to go.
So, do your friends that you go out with know that this is something that you're wanting to work on?
No, I don't really talk to them about it.
And so you don't really have that support necessarily from them because they don't know that you're trying to work on your drinking. So, it's not that they're encouraging it right now because they don't know, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that's something maybe that we should work on to maybe get them on board as well, because continuously going out with them each week is probably not going to help our time in here.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, earlier we talked about your goals and mentioned that you kind of just everything. You want to work on Jordan, and you want to work on your stress. You want to work on the finances and the alcohol. So, do you think maybe a new goal would be possibly to start with these weekly girls' night, maybe cutting back on them or getting your friends involved and letting them know what's kind of going on?
Yeah, I think that, getting my friends involved, and I think they'd be okay with it.
Is there a reason you haven't shared this with them so far?
I just don't want them to go out without me and me not be a part of their lives anymore.
Do you think that would really happen though? I mean, even if they went out without you to drink, do you think that would mean that you weren't a part of their lives anymore?
I mean, I just see so many people that get married and then they no longer have friends. All their friends, they just don't hang out with them anymore because all they do is hang out with their husbands. I don't want to be like that. I want my friends.
So are all your friends not married?
No, they're single.
Okay. So you're the first of your group to get married, and this whole, like we talked about earlier, these role changes is kind of creating an issue maybe with your friends, so you just don't want to lose the single girl life maybe, the going out every week. But I mean, I think that's one thing when you choose to get married with someone, that's something that you kind of do have to give up a little of, not saying all the way. But I do think, spending time with your friends is very important, but do you think there's something else that maybe you guys could do besides, going to the bars? Or maybe if you went to dinner, if they got a drink, at least you wouldn't,
Yeah.
you don't have to get a drink at dinner.
Yeah. I guess it would, yeah.
I just think that if these weekly girls' nights is kind of fueling this fire between you and Jordan, that maybe that's the only way to go about, taming that, is to kind of tone down on the girls'
Yeah.
nights. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, maybe, just like so you're talking to me about it, like, maybe I don't know how to be a wife. I guess I don't have that boundary really set up. Like, I still want that lifestyle of, being able to go out and do whatever I want, but really I can't do that because I am a wife. And maybe I need to just, take my husband's feelings into consideration and
think that, speaking with him and then speaking to your friends all together, I mean, not necessarily in the same setting, is
Yeah.
the best way to kind of go about this. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. I think that I definitely need to at least sit down with him and tell him that I understand like where I think he's coming from, and maybe even see where exactly he's coming from.
I mean, I think that's the best way. And Jordan's always welcome here, or friends are always welcome here. I mean, in order to help you, I mean, I just want to get the whole system involved. Um, so, do you think maybe before we speak the next week, and maybe talking to Jordan about all this, and kind of figuring out your place as a wife and as a friend to your girls, maybe even discussing with them what you're going through and why this is so important to cut back on the drinking.
Maybe to use let them know that I do have to be a wife and find a stronger role with my husband and less of a role with him. Or maybe not less of one, just a different one.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe before we talk next week, if you and Jordan can have your discussion, possibly you and your girls. And I really think that, I think that they'll understand, you are a wife now, and if they are, your children, I think they're truly going to be there for you and understand that, you can't just go out every week and, do the single girl thing anymore. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds like a good plan. Okay. Definitely, we'll do that before the next time we meet is, kind of sit down with each of them and talk to them separately. I mean, not each person individually, but Jordan as a unit and then
Right.
my friends as a different, entity.
And you think maybe that will tone down some of the stress too you've been having lately, if you can just get that out in the open with all of them?
Yeah. I feel like even, me and Jordan just saying, where we're both coming from, and I mean, maybe just the effort will make things a little easier. That, you never know. So, that's something
Right.
to think about, I guess.
Right, so before we talk next week, I guess you will just do what you need to do with Jordan and the girls, and then we'll go from there and just kind of see. Until then, I think the best way, since we are focusing on the cutting back on alcohol, maybe if the girls invite you out this week, maybe try dinner. But I just don't think, going out and drinking before we talk next week is going to help us. I feel like it's going to put us back in the same spot. So we want to try to move forward from here. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, Carrie, it's been good having you today. I'll see you next week.
See you next week.